and I don't know what this has to do with anything.
Okay, well, my whole argument was that when you bring this about, the entire fact that you can conceive of this demonstrates that the mind has to be immaterial, because it could not exist in a material world. And there are other arguments from philosophy of mind going in the same direction.
Well, it depends on what you're actually labeling mind. The mind may not be anything. We're talking about potentially an emergent property of the brain. And so, and you may be mislabeling what the brain does as an entity. And
that's based on a posteriori reasoning, which is from neuroscience. And a posteriori reasoning always follows from a priori reasoning. And so, for example, if you doubt the existence of the mind, then you have to doubt the existence of the scientific method as well.
No, you don't.
Yes, because you have to have a mind to do the science in the first place.
Okay.
And remember Descartes' first meditation where he...
Yes, I think, therefore I am.
Right, and remember how he arrived at that conclusion? He tried to doubt everything he could possibly doubt, that, maybe I'm in a dream, maybe this isn't real.
I am agreeing, this is about identity. What I'm talking about is, maybe I wasn't clear, what you are labeling as mind, you are and I'm not asserting that this is true, you are labeling something that is a function, but not an entity. So
that's a category error, though.
How is it a category error? Let me finish. How is it a category error if all I'm saying is that we have no way to be certain that you aren't simply mislabeling a function of the brain as an entity unto itself? Because asserting that there is the brain and the mind is dualism.
I'm not asserting that there is a brain in the mind. I'm asserting that the brain is in the mind, rather.
The brain is in the mind. I don't see any reason to assert that at all. I see only the brain and the brain doing stuff.
Okay, when you look at the brain, what do you see anyway, though?
Well, I don't tend to cut people's skulls open.
You see it on TV or see it somewhere. You see color quality, don't you? And shapes. These are mental constructs. Everything you know about the exterior world via science and induction reduces to qualia at the end of the day.
I reject qualia, sorry. You should just go ahead and email us. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, and this is so off base, and you've got about, 3 or 4 white flags here. So just go ahead and email us, because qualia to me is just nonsense. Thanks, Ed.
All right.
I think where he's going ultimately is trying to define God into existence again in yet another way.
Yeah.
And my eyes glazed over about 2 minutes into that. But
yeah. If all my mind can do is conceive of the world, therefore I have no reason to think that the world outside is actually real. I think that while there is no firm defeater for that concept, I think there is one, but I'm not going to go into it. And then you get to that our brain is within a mind, and that there's a universal mind, and then there's God's mind. It's qualia, the idea that there's something, an essence of what it's like to be this thing. Let's take another call. William in New Bern, how are you?
Pretty good, y'all.
Pretty good. Good.
Are you or me?
Go ahead.
Okay. What's hearing that?
Hello?
Yeah, I keep on hearing that on my engine.
Well,
And it's not the stream. I have a mute.
are you on a cell phone?
Yes.
Yeah, that's probably the problem. We see that a lot with cell phones. So just try and get your question out, and we'll address it as best we can.
I tried calling last week when Jen brought up the marriage equality, and I'm wondering, as opposed to gay marriage, if having marriage not a legal institution would be the best way for marriage equality.
I don't see how that's practically feasible. I don't think it's likely to happen. And considering you're talking about a culture where not only, and I'm not just making an appeal to history, I'm saying that there's a ton of people who are married and have benefits from that. You would have to rewrite so much of the law to wipe out marriage benefits and institute a whole new section of contract law to reestablish those benefits in another way. now don't get me wrong, I've heard this argument before, the government should get out of the marriage business. And maybe in an ideal world, I think I could maybe go along with that there's probably not a good justification for giving special treatment to people who happen to couple. But the fact is we do, and it is ingrained in society, and it's not something where I see any reasonable path to get rid of it. And as long as that's the case, it should be available to everybody.
Well, there's a couple points on that one. You said a lot of things, I'm trying to break it down, but.
Is it easier to just say, hey, you two guys over here and you two girls over here, you're now allowed to get married and get all these benefits that everybody else has got? Or is it easier to completely eliminate marriage from our culture? Which one's easier?
There are two guys and two women.
There you go.
I'll concede that point. However, I'm not talking about eliminating marriage culturally, just legally.
Okay, which one's easier? Since we already have it established legally and it has worked its way into the laws and integrates into everything from taxes to child support and everything, survivor benefits, who makes decisions about medical stuff, since we already have all this stuff, which is easier? Giving everybody access to it equally, or ripping it out and starting over?
Considering my state of it just made it illegal to practice gay marriage, I really don't know.
How can you not? Okay, you realize that the legal marriage is the only thing that anybody's concerned with, right? That's the only marriage that matters. It's the only one that counts. If you say you're married and you're not legally married, we're talking about two different things.
Right.
So with respect to the law, do you think it's easier to change the law so that now same-sex couples can qualify to marry, or to get rid of all of the laws that relate to marriage?
Gay marriage could be easier, but it's still a little bit harder than you making it sound.
Okay, first of all, I'm not trying to make it sound hard. I was pointing out something that I thought would be just intuitively obvious to everybody, that allowing same-sex couples